Welcome to The Explainer. Have you ever looked around a local park or the bustling waterfront in Poole and thought, I should really put on a community event here? Well, if you have, you probably followed that thought up almost immediately with, but where on earth do I even begin? Today, we are going completely step-by-step through the Council's event management policies. We're going to take what looks like a giant mountain of paperwork and transform it into a clear, actionable tutorial. So, whether you're dreaming of hosting a small local picnic or a major coastal festival, this explainer is your ultimate guide to planning a successful community event right here in Poole.
Actually, before we dive into all the forms and the fees, I want to share a quick quote from a UK Parliament Hansard record discussing towns of culture. It says, "Culture, after all, is a shared language that allows people of different backgrounds to recognize themselves in a common home." I absolutely love this because it perfectly anchors our whole journey today. Because behind all the inevitable safety checks and budget spreadsheets, this is your real goal. You're stepping up to create that shared language and that common home for your neighbors. It's a genuinely profound community purpose.
So here is our roadmap for today. We're going to cover why hosting in Poole matters, navigating the rules and licenses, prioritizing safety and security, managing fees and hidden costs, and finally, making sure your event welcomes a diverse community.
Let's jump right into part one. Why host in Poole? Let's take a look at the scale and impact of local events. Okay, so the Council basically categorizes your event on a scale from A to D. Category A is your small community-level stuff. Think local fetes, picnics, or simple promotional events. Then you step up to B for medium borough events like sports tournaments. C covers large, county-level things like road races or fun fairs. And finally, D covers those extra-large national-scale events, significant sports matches, or huge music festivals. Understanding exactly where your idea fits into this grid is step number one, because it dictates the level of support and, frankly, the level of scrutiny your application is going to get.
And the economic impact here is just massive. To put this in perspective, research shows that beach events, things like sand polo, windfest, and volleyball, directly benefited the local economy by an incredible £372,000. And charitable events? The marathon alone raised an estimated £500,000. So your event, whether it's bringing in visitors who are paying for parking and hotels, or it's raising money for a good cause, brings immense value to the whole area.
If you want to see what a picture-perfect Category C event looks like, you really don't have to look any further than the Poole Quay Folk Festival. It's just a brilliant case study. It's brought to you by Poole Quay Events, a not-for-profit company, and it's a 30-year tradition. We're talking 15 live performances over 2 days right there on the waterfront. It's entirely community-led, totally free to attend, and wonderfully successful. Definitely keep this festival in the back of your mind as we go through the next steps, because they've absolutely mastered what we're about to learn.
Moving on to part two, navigating rules and licenses. Time to unlock the bureaucracy.
So, the big question is figuring out what licenses you actually need. If you're going to have music playing, dancing, or theater, basically what the Council calls regulated entertainment, you're going to need a premises license. But take a deep breath, because here's the really great news. You often don't have to start from scratch and get one yourself. The Council actually acts as a premises license holder for a lot of public sites. Their tourism and town center partnerships hold these licenses for places like the Quay and the High Street. This makes it so much easier for you to just plug your community event into a space that's already legally cleared for all the fun stuff.
There is a bit of a catch, though, when it comes to using public land. If your event materially changes the use of a space, say you're popping a massive circus tent right in the middle of a local planting field, current legislation limits this to just 28 days per year. And keep in mind, that's not 28 days just for your event. That is 28 days for that site across the entire year. So getting your application in nice and early to secure your dates is absolutely vital.
Okay, so you've got the space, but how do you actually get people to show up? Normally, the Council has a super strict zero-tolerance policy when it comes to temporary signage to keep street clutter down. But in a very rare win for event organizers dealing with red tape, permitted outdoor events get something called deemed consent. This is a fantastic policy. It basically means you can promote your event with temporary signs without having to formally apply for highways or planning consent, just as long as you and the Council agree on the size, location, and how long they'll be up. All right, part three, prioritizing safety and security. Let's walk through the application steps. The actual application mechanics are pretty straightforward, but they're absolutely essential. Step one, you apply through Culture and Community Learning.
They handle the overarching administration for most of these events. Step 2 is where your plan heads over to the SAG, the Safety Advisory Group. This group includes emergency services, and they review your plans against health and safety executive guidance. Now pay very close attention to this part. The SAG is just giving independent advice. They don't officially approve or ban events, and they definitely don't take on the legal liability. As the organizer, you retain the legal responsibility to ensure everything is safe. And finally, step 3 is the actual event, followed up by a post-event review with officers to chat about what worked well and what maybe didn't.
Part 4. Managing fees and hidden costs. Let's navigate those event finances.
First up, some really good news for your budget. Like we mentioned earlier, most events in Poole are run on a not-for-profit basis. To support this, event support fees are heavily discounted for not-for-profit community gatherings. The council actively wants to incentivize local folks to step up and organize these things so they help you save money. This is a very different story from commercial event organizers who have to shell out for a daily site hire fee on top of everything else.
But, and this is a pretty massive but, you really have to budget for the hidden costs. Honestly, think of your event budget kind of like an iceberg. The official council application fees, that's just the visible tip. Underneath the water, you've got all the operational realities. You are responsible for the extra pressure your event puts on the site. If you have hundreds of people showing up, you absolutely need a solid plan for cleansing and waste services. You might need to rent portable toilets or maybe pay for extra utility access and grounds maintenance.
So, when you're building out your budget, you essentially have two main pillars. You have your explicit council charges, those discounted support fees we just talked about, and then you have those hidden operational costs. Now, you can choose to arrange private cleansing and waste services, or you can actually pay to use the council's street scene service. The major takeaway here is that even though the council makes the application itself super affordable, the actual physical logistics of running a clean, safe site are costs you have to account for right from day one.
And finally, Part 5, welcoming a diverse community, making sure your event is truly inclusive.
Listen, a genuinely successful event in Poole absolutely has to cater to all backgrounds and abilities. The Council's equalities policy explicitly encourages organizers to be inclusive. This isn't just a nice-to-have, it's a core requirement. That means your event guide needs to clearly state accessibility information. You've got to make sure you have adequate facilities for disabled attendees. And interestingly, the Council intentionally uses those not-for-profit discounts to make sure that local people from diverse backgrounds are financially supported if they want to step up into community leadership and run an event themselves.
Let's bring this all full circle back to the Poole Quay Folk Festival. They really nailed this inclusive ethos. I mean, they didn't just book 15 music acts and call it a day. They thought about the entire community. They brought in thrilling children's fairground rides, incredible face painting, colorful Morris dancing, and all sorts of family-friendly activities. They made sure that whether you're 8 years old or 80, there's something really exciting there for you to do. And honestly, that is how you create a true celebration of Poole.
And that wraps up our explainer. You've got the step-by-step map. You understand the safety and licensing rules, you know exactly how to budget for those hidden costs, and you know the fundamental reason why the council is rooting for you to succeed. So let's think back to that quote from the very beginning. You are ready to create a common home. So, what kind of shared language is your event going to bring to Poole? I really hope this has inspired you to go ahead and start that application. Thanks so much for joining me, and I absolutely can't wait to see what you build.